Hey guys, so today's video is going to be entitled Boldly Embracing the Unknown. And the reason why I decided to do this is I just did a couple of videos on manifestation, and one of them included the theories of Einstein and the other one included categories of your life, so you can take one thing at a time and you can really nail it and decide how you want to live, and then you go on to the next, you go back and you can change things. Well, as I was thinking about it, I realized that part of what really kind of catches us or messes us up is when we become too fearful of moving forward because we're making a change and we don't know what that's going to look like on the other side. So we can start the process of going through all of these steps that I described, having everything set up for ourselves, and then we start getting nervous and we start doubting ourselves and we start asking ourselves if we really want to make the change. Is it really worth it? What if this happens? What if that happens? And we start imagining these scenarios that really trip us up. And what that is, I believe, is our ego stepping on the brakes. And the reason why our ego does that is the job of our ego. Our ego's job is to keep us safe. And the ego only knows how to keep us safe if it's given the same circumstances that it's had in the past. So it knows even if you're not in the best situation, if you're stuck, if you're in a bad situation, it pretty much knows what to do to get you through. When we start making changes and we start living our lives in a different way, the ego doesn't know what to expect. It doesn't know what it's going to have to come up with. It's not clear on what the strategy is going to be. So it starts putting those little doubts in our mind. It starts telling us, you're going to fail. People are going to stop loving you. You're going to lose all of your money. It starts giving us the worst case scenario. And how do we get past that? It's by recognizing that this is our ego, that it wants to keep us safe, it wants to keep us stuck, it wants to know what to do for us, and it's going internally, going inside of ourselves and really making the movement, going with that flow. And the flow of it is trusting our bodies, trusting our intuition and our instincts, and really listening to what our soul wants. A perfect way to do that is to take that time when we're visualizing to really see what feels right. Many of us can go through social media and see what other people are doing and say, oh my God, that looks so great. But it's not really necessarily what we want to do. It's really getting clear on not only what we want, but what is aligned with who we really are as a human being, what we believe our destiny to be, and how do we move forward. And all that takes a lot of work. It's not just sort of copying what we see other people do, because they may be on a completely different path and a completely different essence and here for a completely different reason. So one of the things that I've talked about quite a bit in the past is journaling. And journaling can take us on pathways that give our life purpose instead of living with the day-to-day, management of our lives. It gives us a moment to pause. Now, if you're a morning person, this is maybe something that you want to do before everybody gets up. If you're a night person, you may want to do this after everybody else goes to sleep. It's about finding time for yourself and really being honest. If it's making lists, if it's cutting out really cool images from the internet to show us something that we might be interested in. It's allowing our imagination to flow and to see what we're really attracted to. And all of that is the work that we have to do on our own, preferably in quiet, where we're not listening, we're not doing for other people, we don't hear the TV in the background that somebody else is listening to, but to really take that time, the time that we would give somebody else if they asked us for a favor, to do that for ourselves, to make that agreement with ourselves that I'm going to give myself an hour or 2 hours or 15 minutes, whatever I can do, in order to really focus, be able to go inward, really understand how I'm feeling, and then start the image. Something else that I recommend, and something that's really helped me, is to kind of write out your history a little bit. Like, what has happened to you in your past that has been good, and what has happened in your past that isn't so good. And this gives you an indication of what is right for you. So You may have thought in the past, like, hey, I want this corporate job, and it didn't work out for you. You didn't feel like you really flourished in the corporate world. That's really important to know, because that's something that can help you in your future in terms of making these decisions and deciding how you want to move forward. Then you can say, okay, this didn't work for me. I tried this. I like this part of it. It's almost like taking an idea and shredding it up and seeing what parts of your life have you been your most happy, what parts of your life have you not been as happy, and how can you integrate the pieces that made you the most happy and how you want to live now. Once that becomes really authentic, once that becomes clear, that's when we start really doing the visualization, seeing ourselves doing it, understanding why, because you just went through this whole process. And then it's also really believing in it, not having a lot of doubts, feeling the emotions that we would have in those situations, organizing it by category so we don't get overwhelmed, and know that we can make changes. That is another thing that our ego will do. Our ego will scare us into staying in one place, telling us that the worst possible scenario will happen. But what happens if the worst possible scenario happens? Most things are fixable. Most things we can figure out. We have to just believe that we have the resources to make a decision, to get out of situations that maybe are unpleasant, not be so scared that we just stay in one place and then we get to the end of our lives and we go, well, I didn't really do anything. I would have really loved to do X, Y, and Z, and I didn't do that. I wish I would have. And some of these things are so minor. Some of the things, the people want to do that they never did was go away for a weekend into the mountains, and they never did that. Or take a creative course and see if you want to be a writer. It's taking one step at a time, but our ego is really to blame for what keeps us stagnant in bad relationships, in bad jobs, in bad situations, because in our head we think maybe this is better to deal with what this is than have to deal with something that I don't know yet. But it's not, because that can be 100 times better. It could be 1,000 times better. And you're missing out on that because you're afraid to make a decision. You're afraid to move forward. That is when we have to become bold. We have to be fearless, knowing that we trust ourselves to navigate through what life gives us. Start journaling, start visualizing, start writing things down. I also recommend, and this is something that I've learned the hard way, stay away from really negative people, stay away from negative situations. Try, if you can, to stay away from some of the negative news that's on right now, because that will scare you. And if you watch this enough, you're not going to want to leave your house, much less make any kind of big changes in your life. Keep seeing it, keep believing it, and keep reviewing your life to see what is best for you. Listen to the whisperings of your heart. I hope this video helps you in some way. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Pass this on if you think somebody else can get some kind of inspiration from this. And until next time, thanks so much. Bye-bye.